Hi everyone, my name is Lily and I'm the book reviewer behind Utopia State of Mind, and today we're chatting about some fantasy audiobook sales. So, in all of January, Librofm had a sale on fantasy. Well, maybe not all of January, but for most of January, Librofm has a sale on fantasy audiobooks. I'm just getting back from a trip from London and just saw this, and I thought, okay, I'll peruse what's there. And then I saw so many good ones that I decided to make a video. So, if you don't know what Librofm is, it is an independent audiobook subscription service. They recently unveiled an annual plan where you get a 13th book for free, and also the price of the membership is lower. But normally, if you don't do the annual plan, you do a monthly plan, you pay, I think, $14.99 per month. You get an audiobook credit, and they're yours forever. Members also get an additional 30% off all sale books. But these sale books, you don't need to be an active member, or you don't need to be a member at all. You just need a free account, and then you'll be able to purchase them. And there's some amazing fantasy audiobooks on sale. Just for disclosure, I'm a Librofm affiliate. That means all the links down below will be affiliate links, but if you don't want to use them, then just search for them yourself. So, the first one that really convinced me was The Night and the Moth. If you by now have seen my favorites video, which I will link down below, The Night and the Moth was one of my favorites from 2025, and you can have the audiobook now as well. If you love religious trauma, if you love a good side character who might be a gargoyle, if you love a swoony romance as well, like The Night and the Moth has it all. It is just so good, and I saw that and I knew I needed to talk about that, and then it only continued when I saw that Iron and Embers is on sale. This is the first in the Ashes of Thesmar series, which is now done. You can read Iron and Embers, Thorns and Fires, and oh my god, the last one is escaping me. Iron and Embers, Thorns and Fire. I will leave all the covers here, but only the first one is on sale, which is Iron and Embers. This is a spin-off series from the Legends of Thesmar series. You do not need to read them. I'm in the middle of reading that series, but I've finished the Ashes of Thesmar series. But it is this really great fantasy series about what it means to rule and what the world looks like when you think you may have finished the battle kind of vibes here. It's a spin-off series so the first one is one sister's story, and this is the other sister story. I really enjoyed it. I love the magic system of the whole world and really enjoyed that one. Also, The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea is on sale. This was one of Axi's first really, really, really big hits. It is this gorgeous YA fantasy about sacrifice. She basically sacrifices her place as a sacrifice for God, but she sacrifices herself because her brother's crush / intended / whatever is the sacrifice chosen for that year. She gets sacrificed and then goes instead to this like underwater kingdom-ish area. It's just really, really gorgeous. I love the world building and the swoons. It's so great. I've loved all of Axi's books, and The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea is one of my favorites. And The Floating World is also on sale. This was Axi's latest series. So I don't remember the name of the second book, but that one is already out. So you can actually read the whole series, but this is the first one in that series, so it's perfect for great series starters. And basically, it is this world which has like a floating component, obviously. There's a lot of kind of, not rivalry, but opposite forces, betrayal, a lot of secrets between them, and it is a fantasy as well. As you can tell from the cover, where they're kind of like holding hands. It has swoony kind of aspects to it, but I really loved the world. I love this concept of floating cities. I simultaneously love the concept of floating cities and underground cities. And so the floating world, just world building wise, was really intriguing to me. Metal from Heaven is on sale. I have not read Metal from Heaven, but C.L. Clarke, whose opinion I trust so much, was raving about Metal from Heaven. And so I've had this arc forever, but I actually haven't read Metal from Heaven yet. A lot happens in Metal from Heaven, but basically there's this metal and they have these workers, and they there's like a factory owner basically, and the workers are demanding that the factory owner starts researching like what is causing their illness. So it feels a lot like a lot of the Industrial Revolution things where, you know, workers were getting killed by toxic fumes and like the workers' rights and stuff like that. The the factory owner, typical of Industrial Revolution and also the world, decides, hey, let me like not do that and instead put down this rebellion brutally. So ages and ages later, this factory owner's daughter wants to find a marriage, and so then the main character, or one of the other characters, decides to masquerade as an aristocrat and also has the background of what happened. It is just, I want to read it so bad because it has this like idea of fantasy but Industrial Revolution settings, also highwaymen and opportune marriages. Like, it just sounds so good. And I haven't read it yet, but it is on sale. So if you like that and you haven't read it as well, like me, join me. The Water Outlaws is on sale. I haven't read this one either. I've read a lot of the books from this author, though, I'm pretty sure, but I just haven't read The Water Outlaws. And you want to know why? It's because I've read these authors, or this author's novellas. So when I picked up The Water Outlaws, I was kind of, oh, it'll be another novella, but it's not. It is not another novella. It is a 19-hour audiobook. And so I just never got to it because I was expecting to pick it up and kind of finish it in a couple of days. And that wasn't going to happen. So I haven't read this one, but it's on my TBR because I really love these kind of unique world concepts. Basically, the main character is an arms instructor who's kind of just like trying to live her best life. And then she ends up getting disgraced and has to go on the run. And there she kind of meets these outlaws who are rebelling, and they believe in justice, and they also believe in the rights for women and the oppressed. What a novel concept in today's day and age. But that's kind of the overall premise for The Water Outlaws. I'm obviously really excited to read it, but I didn't expect it to be so long. So Blood and Steel is on sale. This is the first in the Legends of Thesmar series, so we're back at it again. This takes place in the other one, and so this is more kind of like the training of the first character. So basically, there are spoilers if you read the second one, kind of what happened big meta world level wise in the Legends of Thesmar series, but at least in the very first Blood and Steel book, it's about the main character, Althea. Taya wants to be a legendary warrior, but they don't allow women in. So that very first book is kind of about that, and kind of the politics about the world and what happens slowly grows over the course of, I think, 4 books. Elatsoe is on sale. I don't know if I am pronouncing that right, but it is this really gorgeous queer book, which is about, it's like a contemporary setting, but different, almost not a parallel world, but almost like an alternate history or alternate world fantasy, YA, of course. Basically, she can see the ghosts of dead animals, and her cousin has recently been murdered, and so she wants to find out what happened. So I really, really love this. I love alternate history or alternate fiction, alternate world books, and this is so good. It also has queer representation, and it was, I think, the debut of Darcy Little Badger, and I have since then read this one. And there's another one that's like the prequel to this one. I will leave both covers up on the screen. But anyway, this is really good. It's a backlist favorite of mine. If you haven't read it, please do. I think, it's on my shelf up there. You can't see it, but I really, really love it, as you know, because it took up a place on my shelf. To Cage a God is on sale. This is a really fascinating book about, in some ways, it's a book about sisters, but in other ways, it's also a book about gods. So basically, these 2 sisters have gods, like, grafted into their bones. That's kind of just the premise of the world. And they're bound to these deities who have immense power, but it's not a great relationship between them. They've been raised to kind of start war and rebellion within the country, and so, you know, things are going to happen and heads will roll. They're separated at different times and they take on different roles. I really love the way that it looks at kind of becoming a weapon, and also the sisterhood relationship is really fascinating. So I really, really enjoyed To Cage a God. I think it was one of my favorite ones, which I read from, what year did this come out? 2024, I think. Just because the concept of the world and having like gods grafted in your bones is such a fascinating world building concept, and I'm a sucker for that. Road to Ruin is on sale, which is kind of this like post apocalyptic. We have bike couriers, but they're also fantastical, magical mage bikes. So that's kind of, it's so gritty and atmospheric where you can kind of feel the sand beneath your fingers. I love that it's also a queer romance within it, but I also loved the way that it talks about the world and the privileges that are afforded and like when we can say something and when we can stop. It's interesting because when this has a few different characters and a few different perspectives. One is the mage bike courier, but then there's also the mage bike courier is like going between these two people who are supposed to be intended, you know, like they're exchanging letters. But it's about these characters which seem like they have more power than they don't. And then the mage bike courier who doesn't seem like she has a lot of power but does in some senses. It was a really fascinating way to look at power and agency and what you can actually do with that power. The Black Tides of Heaven is on sale. This is a really gorgeous duology. Well, first, this is one part of a novella duology. I think that they're technically, you can read this one or the other one, which is called The Red. I don't remember. But anyway, I think you can technically read them separately, or it doesn't really matter in what order. But basically, this was like this gorgeous, I think the term is silk punk. It was this gorgeous world which just felt so beautiful and also so deadly. There's like this steampunk elements to it. I'm doing this because I remember kind of steampunky type elevators, but there's also magic in it. It's not just kind of this steampunk world. I swear that I think I saw someone describe it as silk punk. There's prophetic gifts. We also have two twins who are at the center of this prophecy. And there's also rebellion and class differences as well between the people who are rebelling. And so like this relationship between these two twins. I really, really enjoyed it. This is probably my first J.Y. Yang book where I just decided that I had to read all of J.Y. Yang's books because the way that the world that is developed within this novella, even though the novella is not very long, it is so rich and you just want to like dig into it basically. And the last one is Dance of Shadows, which I haven't read, but I swear that I own a copy of this on my e-reader. And it is the first, I think, of a series. All I know is that there are editions of these which have stunning edges. But it is it's this world which has these three different women emerge as kind of characters. I haven't read it, so I don't know if they're different like perspectives or whatever, but basically we have a pirate queen, a temple courtesan, and a librarian princess. So obviously that's why I had to read it. But basically it's about these kinds of characters coming all together. A city has basically just opened up their borders for the first time, and so of course everybody's got to come and tensions are going to rise. So that was all, or those were all of the picks that I wanted to talk to you about for this fantasy sale. Let me know down below if you've read some of the ones that I haven't read, so I know if I should bump them up into my TBR. I hope you have a really great rest of your reading day, week, month, and year, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!